Hey folks, this is Ben Gessel. I'm gonna make a few videos here tonight. And by the way, there was an earlier train of thought regarding some stuff. If you guys really want me to read some of these things, I will, music related, but um, I don't know. At least um, just know that we're still working on this sort of thing. It's not a lost cause. Just for frame of reference, in case you didn't see the last video I've made, I just don't like it when I lose or teenage students are very important to me uh, for a number of reasons. I It's hard when I lose them, but it's especially hard when I know somebody has a lot of musical ability, talent, and intelligence, and those are the people I want to teach sometimes the most, especially when they themselves are amazing people. Yeah. Kids are fun to teach. Kids are great. Adults, yeah, of course. I mean, if I want to teach people that are really, sometimes often more advanced, but more especially they're very curious about music or they're intelligent, they're imaginative, whatever. Sure, obviously, but so adults and teens, especially fall in that category. Kids too, but teens. Some teens just have, I feel like, have kind of a more of a natural. I don't know. It's just hard, you know. When I've lost students that had real musical ability and they're in their early teens, that really stinks. I'll just say it sucks. It sucks. I've known some very promising musicians, and they've gone on to continue to do things that are musical at least. But when you work with them when they're younger, and you know that it's good for them to have different teachers, or if they want different things to happen, you expect it, but you know it, heck, it's not just teenagers, it's little kids that get you like an intermediate level. And by intermediate I do mean intermediate, right? Like 16th notes, and they're playing music, right? They're not just no more rinky dink elementary stuff, for sure. It's always hard. You know, the thing about kids versus teenagers versus adults, as far as music students, is that kids are fun to teach because they are so upbeat. They always help you feel better about everything. They just do. And it's therapeutic to be around kids that way. Even if they're really rapscallionish or, whatever. And in their kiddish way. Teenagers are definitely more like adults, but still have a lot of wide-eyed curiosity like kids do. And I mean, yeah. But see, it's just a great time to be alive, although I don't think so, right? But yeah, there's a lot of things that are very hard as well, of course. Yes, we all understand, But adults, just are often more set in their ways. And the older the adult, the more they tend to be set in their ways. It just depends on the person. But with kids, you get lack of ability. Some often lack of intelligence, but it's more of a lack of ability. So they're generally beginners, for the most part. Not always. With teenagers, you get a nice mix of, they're not too far along, generally speaking. Sometimes they are. But they're like, pretty good if they was like involved in music from a young age, they have a greater capacity to understand things at a much deeper level than kids do. You can talk to them at a more at a more advanced level. Like you talk to teenagers oftentimes like adults. If they're adults. I mean, hey, if they're over, 14, 15, the 15, 14, 13, 14-year-olds love it when you talk to them like adults. I think it's just fine. If they act like adults and they're very mature for their age, talk to them like adults, of course. Yeah, I mean, like you talk to a 15, 16-year-old, you're practically talking to an adult. But anyway, there's a little more involved train of thought with all that stuff. But adults, they're the most advanced. They've been studying music from a young age and all that stuff. We all know that, it's college and pro level stuff. But again, it's just a lot of students, the older they get, the more set in the ways they get. And so habits are harder to break, Trains have thought about things. Musical tastes, they're definitely more set in stone. And that can be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. It all depends. But and I mentioned it to the music instructor, by the way. And I'm talking about this a bit more than I thought I would. But teaching kids is like eating fruit. It's generally, yay. It's like there's a lighter feeling about it. It's fun, Yeah. It's not heavy. It's light. Fruit, right? Teaching teenagers is like having something with herbs and spices. Definitely some strong flavors sometimes, but maybe not as super sweet as sometimes is the little tykes. I don't know. And then adults are like meat. They're like beef. A big roast. You have a music lesson with an advanced adult student, semi-pro level or whatever, really elite. It's beefy. It's full on. Yeah. Yeah. And for professors that teach in college, if that's all they teach is, primarily those kinds of folks. It's just it's heavy. Talk about heavy stuff. You're working heavy stuff. It's all, Anyway, completely different train of thought here. Switching gears. I saw an article. I was just Google searching some stuff. I don't know if you guys know this, but I just how do I put this? How do I talk about this? In academia, apparently, colleges, other such institutions, the term Anglo-Saxon is now being debated regarding whether or not it should be used anymore. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but the term Anglo-Saxon actually has to do with a group of people, right, who lived near the mouth or on the mouth of the Elbe River in northwestern Germany or northern Germany, and thereabouts, around the Hamburg area, Bremerhaven, that whole area over to Holland. Northeasternmost Holland is Saxon. On up to Schleswig-Holstein, right? In that whole area, Saxony, Old Saxony, that's lower Saxony. And the Angles were from southern Jutland, southern Denmark, but the part of it that's the peninsula that sticks up. And those two guys, along with the Jutes in northern Jutland, and a small number of Frisians, right, from kind of northeast Holland, or eastern Holland, northern Holland, Netherlands. Those guys in the 400s, 4 or 500s AD, went from continental Europe to guess where? England. There's a whole big story behind it. Big migration, though. Big, huge migration. So much so that there were still people that remained in Denmark and northern Germany, but not really a whole lot of, uh, not as many, but more especially the Angles were basically gone. Saxons, in large numbers, still remained. They're just very numerous. But yeah, the Angles and yeah, mainly gone. But there's still again a small number that remained, as far as I know. And so they're just a group of people. That's the group of people we're talking about, and they went over to Britain, and they, conquered certain areas, and they became much of who we know as the English people. A good chunk of English population comes from Anglo-Saxon ancestry. Chances are, if someone's English and they have a fair amount of blondish brown hair genes, it's a good chance that they have that ancestry, Anglo-Saxon, and Jute Frisian, whereas the Celts tended to have red or darker hair, reddier complexion, somewhat, a little shorter, a little stockier, all that stuff. More or less, always variations. And in case you're wondering, yes, the Scots and the Irish both have Viking ancestry as well. So it's I know sometimes it's not always easy to tell apart the difference between Celts and Teutons or Germans and Nordic folks. They've all intermixed somewhat. Anyway, this all being said, the term is is not in vogue. And you guys, it started having negative connotations when you had people in the American South, especially, but other folks as well, like Madison Grant, right, using this term a lot. Kind of like a we're the best kind of thing. The term Anglo-Saxon superiority. Does that mean anything to you guys? White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. What comes to mind? There are many other phrases that you can probably fill in. Even, British imperialism, Rule Britannia. Talked about white supremacy in general, Nazism, all that stuff. We're talking about words here, though. Words. I'm not saying words are devoid of meaning, or they shouldn't be debated. They shouldn't be such a big deal. There are words that I know of that are very, very powerful. Either positive, in a positive way, or negative way. What I am trying to say, though, is that words are not the same kind of thing as people. They're fluid. We make words to try to explain and describe things in life. Different groups of people, for instance. We know that the Jews and the Arabs are similar. We understand on some level some of the differences, more or less. But we also understand that they're both humans, human beings, people. So if one group has a more of a predominance for black hair and olive-toned skin, and the other group of people has a white, which just every color of hair you can imagine, maybe a little bit more darker than lighter, and they have varying complexions, but generally speaking, we're talking about lighter skin and the other folks. Okay. But you know, on one hand, so we're talking again. We're talking about human beings here, just certain groups of human beings, and you know, the words used are simply to distinguish those groups of people. Now, there are many other things that can come to mind when you mention the word Arab or Jew. Why is it that these words tend to pick up new additional meanings over time? It's because of how they're used. It's because of who uses them. You know, language and culture and all this stuff, it's different than numbers, right? 1 plus 1 is always 2. 2 plus 3 is always 5. 7 minus 4 is always 3. That never changes. Some people, that's what they love. They love math that way. It just never changes. Meanings of words and connotations of words and all this stuff, although I guess you guys know I like the humanities. But this is why I didn't major in the humanities. Is because it's so changey, it's so opiniony, so subjective. It's subjective. It's far more subjective than music even. Music can be, try to make it very much like a math, science, so to speak, when you study it. But we enjoy it because it's art, right? It's emotional, I think. Most of us do, at least, on some level. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that, on the one hand, this whole conversation about dropping the term in academia is kind of pointless because it's just a word. And people should understand that even though words are used in a bad way, it's no reason to just drop a term or drop a word. And, have it not be in vogue anymore. Now, I'm not saying that my opinion is absolutely correct here. There are definitely words that have been used in the past I would never use, right? They've taken on enough of a negative connotation that I wouldn't use them. But I know people that do. I know one word in particular I'm thinking of. They only hear, generally when I hear older people talk about a different race. If you know which one I'm talking about. In general. So, yeah. On the other hand, so even though I say kind of like say language is always changing a lot. So why make a big fuss about it? What's the big deal? There's another train of thought I have, and that's why the term Anglo-Saxon? Why is that being singled out? If that word is singled out, what's to stop academia from not using the word German anymore? Or English? Or Danish? Or Dutch? Or Scottish? Or Welsh? Or Irish? Or Swedish? Or Norwegian? Or Flemish? Or French? Or, eventually you get to just keep going. So let's just abandon nationalities altogether. There's no more nationalities. Well, that's what the New World Order wants. The Illuminati, that's what they want. Huh. Let's think about this here for a second, folks. Just dispense with all of your little whatever. All sense of identity is gone. It's just have all one world religion, all one nation, right? Because we all need to unite, right? Yeah, but unite as who? What is the unite as common earthlings, right? Guys. It's just not, no, I just know that this whole rabbit hole that academia is going down right now, it's not healthy, it's not good. They say, we want to stamp out racism. Okay, but we know that words are fluid. We know that they can change in meaning over time. Perfect example of this is the word gay. Okay? Gay doesn't mean what it once meant. But the term Anglo-Saxon still means a white person, probably from England, but not necessarily just England. But there's a certain image that comes to mind that has to do with, guess who? Anglo-Saxons. English. The term Anglo and England are directly connected. That's how the name England got its name, was from the Anglo tribe. It's just that we have our own sense of self-identity. We want our identity, or what we consider to be our identity, is up to us, ultimately. But there are groups, there are words that we use to describe our identity. Some of us more than others. But that is our choice. It's our freedom to do so. I mean, if you could have someone who's, a Swede who wants to be a member of the Congo tribe or something in Africa. And if they're okay with it, okay. I don't know. This whole thing, so it's just, I don't know. When you have other people that start to say you cannot describe yourself a certain way, nope, can't do it. That's limiting your freedom of speech. It is. And you're not, especially, you're not even insulting someone else by using a certain word. You're talking about other people, you're talking about yourself. Right? Again, I'm going to propose the question. If we get rid of the term Anglo-Saxon, we're actually getting rid of the name of a historic people who became not only the English, but many other related folks as well. To some greater or lesser extent, old Mexican tribes and things. That's just, hey, let's just throw away that entire history, or that the whole, we'll name them, people in Europe near the Elbe River. Let's name them the Albians. The Albians, right? I don't know. Albion is, anyway. Or something, right? Some other name that I guess someone's okay with. I can think of crazier things. Hey, I don't know. I like coming up with new names too, sure. But that's more of like fantasy fiction and stuff. When we let people determine what words you can or can't say, other than words that are very offensive, obviously, to certain people, then yeah, it's not a light matter, even though it seems like we're talking about words. I think that's what I'm trying to say. If I describe myself as a Mormon, or member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so many people will say, oh, you're a Mormon, instead of, oh, you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or you're LDS. Whichever term people think of, it's interesting when people say, oh, they insist that I use a certain term rather than the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which we're trying to use more. But if someone says, oh, no, you cannot refer to yourself anymore as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You can't refer to yourself as a Christian anymore. You can't refer to yourself as being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ, even with leaving out the Latter Saints. No. You are definitely a Mormon. Or you're definitely an LDS person. it's similar but different. But it's similar. It's a similar train of thought. Someone else is trying to put a limitation on you, on a person, on me, or anyone else regarding religion. What the name of our religion is. Because they could have some crazy idea like, we're a cult or we're not really Christian or whatever. Or we're just like, we're commonly known supposedly as well. You know, folks, give this some thought. It's happening. And it's going to keep happening. In academia, they've lost their gourd, man. They've lost their minds. If they're actually seriously considering, I really hope that if that term is gone because of Southerners abusing it, that sort of thing, George Wallace and all those guys, if that term is just gone, like the Confederate flag, or supposedly, I don't know, then I really hope that it only goes that far. I hope that, but again, we can start to have ideas like, oh no, we can't call anything English anymore. We can't call anything German anymore. Why? Because those terms are offensive to some people because of, you can fill in the blank there. I think I made my point pretty strongly here. At this point, if you guys are watching and you have any doubt of what I'm trying to say, just research it for yourself. You can't make this stuff up. Okay. I'll leave your thoughts in the comments below. Catch you later. Take care. Bye.